year, JNT was a standout for us. I'd like to tell you a bit about Gwynne. She was born in Iowa. She was the fourth of five children. She inspired two of her sisters and one of her nieces to become lawyers. She attended University of Iowa Law School and later got an LLM in international human rights law at Oxford University. Gwynne had a varied legal career, starting as a federal prosecutor, then a King County prosecutor in Seattle, then moving on to work with corporate law and employment firms. She always had a passion for human rights law. She left her corporate job in the mid 1990s and established her own public interest law group. She took on cases representing individuals fighting against big corporations. This year's winner, JNT, reminds me of this aspect of her work. She represented Rachel Corrie's family in 2005 in a case filed against the Caterpillar Corporation for aiding and abetting war crimes in the Gaza Strip. I'm reminded of this work of hers often as I hear the daily news. Gwynne had an uncanny ability to use innovative legal strategies to help her clients. She was always thinking outside the box, finding new applications of the law. Gwynne's background in litigation and labor and employment law made her especially good at representing victims whose pay, working conditions, safety, dignity were being compromised by large corporations. JNT's work of not only reporting abuses, but securing remedies for their victims from the mines reminds me of work that Gwynne also would have admired. Gwynne loved the law. She believed in the ability of the law to right wrongs and hold governments and corporations accountable. She was recruited to establish the International Human Rights Law Clinic at Seattle University, and then later did the same at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. She was committed to teaching and training the next generation of human rights lawyers. It was during this time, starting in 2011, that she became an advisor and mentor for ICAR. She continued this for the last 6 years of her life. She partnered with them to fight human rights abuses, both in the United States and internationally. In her last year, she wrote a book, Transnational Corporations and Human Rights. Again, I want to thank Rachel Chambers and Sarah McGrath for completing the final editing that resulted in its publication in 2020. In the book, she outlines the barriers that victims face in seeking remedies, but also offers solutions to these barriers. JNT reminds me of Gwynne's work, not just exposing the wrongdoing, but looking for resolutions. Their 30 years of relentless work advocating for victims of contamination from local mining in Brazil and the successful relocation of 312 families into new homes in October of 2024 is truly a human rights victory. On Gwynne's headstone, it says mother, wife, sister, friend, and human rights advocate. Human rights were her passion and life work. I'm thankful that we can take this moment each year to remember her and that this award is continuing to have a place in the field of corporate responsibility. Congratulations to JNT.
Thank you so much, Beth. It's always so meaningful to hear your remarks. I'd now invite Elena to introduce the award.
some for years, even decades. Many on the front lines, and many certainly not from positions of power or privilege. Candidates included organizations and individuals who worked with affected communities to champion reforms of energy sector policies and regulations, fostering the development of a just and sustainable energy market. There were nominees that promote community-based conservation programs of biodiversity and nature and monitoring cleanup operations in the aftermath of oil spills resulting from corporate misconduct. Nominees who denounced the exploitation of rural women and their natural resources by billion-dollar essential oil companies. There were candidates who spearheaded groundbreaking strategic litigation to end forced labor and to represent victims of human trafficking, involuntary servitude, and sexual assault in the context of corporate activities. There were nominees who leveraged accountability and complaints mechanisms creatively of the OECD and multilateral development banks to support women from fishing communities and promote their livelihoods from the effects of fossil fuel companies, and candidates working to engage the world of investors to advance corporate accountability and human rights with these actors who have tremendous power and resources to drive change if pushed and incentivized creatively. All these cases reveal the multiple and varied ways that corporations contribute to violations of basic social, economic, cultural, and environmental rights. They also demonstrate the strength, creativity, resilience, and force of working in community, and particularly in solidarity with the global movement. It was a difficult decision. The selection committee landed on Justicia Nostrillos. We were impressed with their thorough community-based research and documentation of the severe contamination and other harms caused by local industries and mining operations, their innovative campaigning and strategic advocacy, and their tireless effort that resulted in a shining example of successful remediation of corporate harms. With that, I would like to introduce the two representatives of this year's recipient of the Gwynne Skinner Award, Justicia Nostrillos. We have Valdenia Paulino Lanfranchi. Valdenia has a PhD in social work from PUC Sao Paulo and a master's in social law. She's a lawyer, a specialist in pedagogy, human rights, and defense of human rights and activism. She has expertise in children and adolescents' rights, security plans for human rights defenders, community organization, and conflict mediation. She worked for 23 years in poor communities in the East End of Sao Paulo as a social educator. She is the founder of SEDECA, Children's Defense Center, and Sapopemba Human Rights Center in Sao Paulo. She was a police ombudsman in the state of Paraíba from 2011 to 2013, and a professor and consultant to social organizations in human rights and the rights of children and adolescents. She's a national and international speaker on human rights and has received several human rights awards, including one by the European Union Bar Association in 2014. A member of Justicia Nostrillos in the state of Maranhão in Amazon between 2019 and 2024. Valdenia continues as a consultant and community educator on behalf of rural, indigenous, and quilombola communities suffering from social and environmental impacts of big mining and agribusiness. Welcome, Valdenia. And we have Renato Paulino Lanfranchi. Born in Italy, he's lived and worked in Brazil since 1991. He was a Roman Catholic priest and missionary between 1983 and 2007. As a social activist and human rights defenders, he participated in the creation of the Center for defense of life and human rights in Bon Jardim, outskirts of Fortaleza, and of the Sapobemba Human Rights Center in Sao Paulo. He has worked as coordinator of the Oscar Romero Human Rights Center between 2009 and 2013 in Santa Rita, Paraíba, and he's formed in philosophy, theology, and psychology, and he's been a member of Justicia Nos Trilhos in Açailandia since 2019. At present, he is administrative coordinator of this NGO, working on behalf of communities impacted by mining and agribusiness along the Carajás corridor in the state of Maranhão. It's a pleasure to have you here, and congratulations. Parabéns.
Good afternoon to everybody. Sit down. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the words. I asked permission to read so I won't be too long and I won't get lost. It is a great honor to be here at this moment to receive this award in the name of our organization, Justiça nos Trilhos, which means justice on the rails. We're bringing the greetings and gratitude of the whole team of JNT and of the whole Piquia de Baixo community, its leaders and partners, particularly the board of directors of the Piquia Residents Association and the Comboni missionaries. Someone representing more directly the community should be here, but couldn't get a visa in time. We are deeply thankful to the International Federation for Human Rights for the nomination, and we congratulate the other nominees. So touched by the work they do. A special thanks goes out to the SAGE Fund, whose representatives are here today for supporting for years the community work to sustain the struggle of Piquia de Baixo. In 2007, the small community of Piquia de Baixo, located on the margins of the Amazon region in northern Brazil, municipality of Açailandia, decided to fight for relocation. The place they lived and loved was not safe for human dwelling. The long trains of the multinational Vale SA carrying raw iron ore in uncovered wagons and the steel industries surrounding the community caused a high level of contamination of the air, water, and soil. Since then, almost 20 years of community organizing, looking for support, documenting, strategizing, facing the perpetrators of the contamination, and fighting for just reparation. The International Award is not only a recognition of our organization's role in this process. Above all, it echoes the historic struggle of the families of Piquia de Baixo, who resisted for over 20 years to the social environmental violation caused by large mining and steel projects. A struggle that has become a symbol of transformation and justice, with the collective resettlement of 312 families to the new Piquia da Conquista neighborhood delivered in October 2024. This recognition belongs to the communities that face the consequences of mining and agribusiness in their territories, not only in Brazil, but in many other countries. It is a celebration of the ability of people to organize themselves, resist, and achieve dignity. This award strengthens our commitment to continue to stand by the communities along the Carajás corridor, threatened today by other large mining and agribusiness projects. Justiça nos Trilhos coordinates today a coalition of organizations opposing the construction of a new railroad and and the new port in the state of Maranhão involving Portuguese and German interests, the GPM project. Through its effort, it was able to halt the promise of large investments by the German government. The project would drastically impact on several traditional communities in the region. On another front, we are heavily involved in the campaign for the Brazilian government to create a natural extractive reserve, the Risex Tauá-Mirim, and this, near São Luís, the capital of Maranhão, to protect 12 communities from the expansion of the largest state industrial complex. If you would like to support, by the way, just use this QR code and support the campaign, the petition to the government for this natural preserve be instituted. It is vital for their survival that the forest and their ways of life be preserved. Thank you, ICAR, for this recognition. You carry out incredibly important work so that corporations and businesses prevent, reduce, and repair the impacts of their activities on people and territories, and take responsibility for the human, social, and environmental rights violations they cause. International cooperation is crucial so that we can continue carrying out our work in Brazil in time of dwindling resources and threats to aid towards developing countries. But if you are open to accept petitions for funding, let us know. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Now me. I can't speak well like him. Patience, please. Hi, everyone. I am here for these people. Edivar Dantas, 76 years old. Symptoms, fatigue, and shortness of breath. Report, lung problems, death not investigated. Aninha, 29 years old, mother of 4 beautiful children. Symptoms, shortness of breath and fatigue. Report, natural death. Cause, not investigated. Gil, 7 years old, burns caused by incandescent iron residue. Cause of death, first-degree burns. The list is too long for the time given, but in the name of these victims from Piquiá de Baixo, we invoke the memory of all the children, women, and the men murdered or made ill by the mining chain in America, Africa, Asia, and all over the world. Not to remain silent became the mission of the community of Piquiá de Baixo with the support of a partner organization. Many strategies were necessary. Numerous community mediation to overcome internal conflict caused by cooptation, harassment, and the trust of community members by iron and steel companies. Initiatives to strengthen the territory such as women's group, attention to children and young people, economic alternatives, legal action, national and international political advocacy, exchange, investment in communication, and much community training. All of it with the direct involvement of the community. You can learn more about these strategies by visiting the website of Justiça nos Trilhos, where you find this PQA struggle manual created with the support of Sage Fund, represented here today by Bella and Daria. Thank you both. With a lot of pressure of house for the resettlement of the new Piquiada Conquista neighborhood were delivered in October 2024 after 20 years of continuous struggle. However, there is still much to be done to achieve full reparation. We are fighting to ensure the preservation of the Piquia land as a memorial park. You are, we are advocating for 100% exemption of the payment on the new houses. Also, we are conducting legal action for compensation for moral and material damages for all residents who lived in Piquiá de Baixo. For us, this award is an opportunity to strengthen ourselves and exchange methodology and strategies with our sisters and brothers who suffer the same pain and the violation caused by the mine industry. We know that this will not happen by raising the awareness of mining and the steel company because they have no face and no blood running through their veins. They are anonymous and inhuman. They are shared on the stock exchange, and the public institutions are their service. But you can confront them if we strengthen our solidarity. On behalf of the Piquiá Resident Association and Justiça nos Trilhos, we would like to thank ICAR for choosing us for the Guinea Skin Human Rights Award. We understand that this award extends to all people and organizations that have contributed to the struggle of Piquiá over the years. I would like to conclude by inviting you to proclaim with me in Portuguese, with this motto that accompanies our strong. I speak, you repeat, please. Essa luta é nossa.
Essa luta é nossa.
Essa luta é do povo.
Essa luta
É com justiça
é com justiça.
que se faz um mundo novo.
Faz o mundo novo.
Again, essa luta é nossa.
Essa luta é nossa.
Essa luta é do povo.
Essa luta é do povo.
É com justiça
Com justiça.
que se faz um mundo novo. This struggle is ours. These struggles belong to the people. It is with justice that we build a new world. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, J&T. We're so honored to be able to provide this award. We're so honored to have Beth with us to help present it. And Elena, on behalf of the selection committee, ICAR is incredibly proud to give this. And we thank you so much for coming to represent J&T and for making your statements. We're incredibly proud to stand with you and support your work. Thank you all very much. And thank you all for being here with us.